Welcome to Grimsby Connected. I'm your host, Daniel Vandersteen. There's probably no subject that's of more interest to people in this upcoming municipal election than housing. If you have a penchant for masochism and some time to kill, try throwing a comment in literally any Grimsby Facebook group about any projected housing development and watch the fireworks fly. People have strong opinions on housing. But the reality is Grimsby's population is growing, whether we like it or not, with a projected 50,000 people living in this town by 2050. So there's a lot that we need to get into around the subject of housing. And here to talk to me today about housing is the chair-elect of Cornerstone Association of Realtors, Sandra Longden. Sandra, thanks so much for being here.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks,
so
Daniel.
Why don't you start off by telling us about what Cornerstone is and what brought you here?
So Cornerstone is currently the second largest real estate association in Ontario, fourth largest in Canada.
Wow.
We have about 7,500 members. We cover the areas of Mississauga, Burlington, Hamilton, Waterloo Region, Haldimand, Niagara North, Norfolk County, and the surrounding areas.
So just a small pocket of places.
Just a small pocket, exactly.
I understand Cornerstone is a merger of a bunch of smaller realtor groups. So what was kind of behind the idea of putting those all together into Cornerstone? Because you guys are relatively young. I think you were founded in 2024.
Yes. That's correct. So we're relatively young in our amalgamated form. However, collectively, we have about 325 years of experience between our four amalgamating partners. Mainly that was Mississauga, Waterloo Region, Hamilton, and Haldimand, Norfolk County. Our idea behind it was we wanted to create an organization that could advocate boldly, numbers, being
Strength in numbers.
Exactly, the strength in numbers, and where we could lead with a different perspective and take a more bold stance in what we believe in and how we support our members.
And so was that like the main impetus for getting everybody together, was just sort of to increase the sort of, call it power base of like, hey, now we're 7,500 people, so you can't ignore us type of thing?
Exactly. Pretty much. We definitely don't want to be ignored, and we're trying to make a difference in our industry for the betterment of our members and our local realtors, as well as community as a whole. We want to make a lasting impact and really build that legacy for future generations to thrive.
So, I mean, it's in the name, but Association of Realtors is presumably an association of realtors. But can you tell us a bit about like what that means? Like, why would realtors form an association, and what kind of work do you guys do?
It's a very good question.
Thank you. I worked hard on it.
We formed these associations as realtors because we wanted to have local representation. We thought it was important to come together and create streamlined processes and support for each other to be able to work in the areas that we serve. And it's kind of similar to as we're going into municipal elections, where you have local representation through your municipal elected officials. Same way with your local boards, you have your local representation through our associations. And then we advocate and lead towards, provincial matters and issues and solutions, as well as federally as well. So it's kind of similar to how government structure is.
Sure.
Our association is like the municipal level, where we just where our members are grassroots, our realtors are grassroots. They have boots on the ground. They know exactly what's going on. So they have those conversations with their clients, and they're hearing what's happening over the dinner table, right? So those things are really important for us to understand to be able to better serve our realtor members as well as their clients as well.
Sure. So much like a Chamber of Commerce or a BIA or any other trade group, it's about an information funnel, basically. You have these 7,500 people who are boots on ground giving you the information that you can then send to municipal councils or the province or the federal government about the issues that they might not see because they're so removed from it.
Exactly, as well as with our own realtor associations. Like we have provincial and federal levels. We have AREA as our provincial and CREA as the Canada-wide. And we advocate for issues that are important to our realtors to help them do business better, help their business thrive. So that's what we do.
And so what brought you personally into Cornerstone or into the association?
So I actually started out as a director with the Mississauga Real Estate Board when we were amalgamating. And what I believed was also important to be a part of is I wanted to make a difference in the industry, right? I wanted to I see all the colleagues that I work with, and I hear the things that we struggle with, and I experience it myself. And if you could be at the table to have that conversation and even advocate for yourself and the issues that you know that are important to fix, why not try?
The current state of the housing market in Grimsby and Niagara, what can you tell us about it?
Well, it's mirroring quite a bit of the surrounding areas. I mean, you're not GTA adjacent, but you kind of are now with the way that things have expanded out. So you guys are experiencing a bit of a downturn, the way the market is. However, I will say in the last couple months, activity has picked up. So I think about in the month of June, you guys were up about 6.3% in activity. So that's good. It's going in a good direction. Real estate's always going to be like a foundational investment. So I know people were coming off of COVID. Everyone's a bit traumatized. It was something that is not usually in the streamline of what real estate does. Like we're used to getting the house and it always continuously goes up, which historically speaking it does.
Sure.
We experienced a little blip during COVID. There was a lot of factors happening. Prices got really, really hot. And now they're cooling off a little because, it needs to. But it will eventually get to a point where it's going to continue to go up. So again, if you have a local realtor by your side, they'll help guide you through this process, right? And they'll be like, look, this is a good investment, or they'll help guide your decision as to what is it that you're trying to do, right? Like if you're a long-term end user, like someone who's going to live in the home and you want to be there for 5, 10, 15 years, that's your plan. You're not as worried about how the numbers are as if you're investing, right? So.
Right. Yeah, because if I'm a real estate investor, I kind of want to know what it's a little bit like a stock at that point. Like I want to track the prices and know if it's going up, going down, kind of thing.
It's quite similar, yes.
Yeah. Well, I am not a real estate investor, much as I'd like to be.
A lot of local realtors can make you a real estate investor. Don't worry. Just call one of our Cornerstone realtors. We got you.
That presumes a lot more about my financial status. Realtors are not developers, obviously, but you work closely together.
Yes.
Because they're building the product that you will sell. So do you have any sense of development in terms of Grimsby or Niagara in general, how that's going? Something I hear a lot from people in the real estate sector is that housing starts are way down, which is building a new house. Do you have any idea of how that's moving?
The housing starts are down. It's a bit challenging to get the shovels in the ground. The municipalities, I know when I'm speaking to them, not just in Grimsby, but they're just trying to balance their books and they're trying to be mindful of their taxpayers, their constituents, right? There's a big concern, like within our Abacus data poll, one of the concerns that came up with local residents of Grimsby is property taxes,
sure.
Right? That's a very valid concern. And funding these things and providing, like let's say funding for these developments from the municipal level, they're worried it might trickle down this way. So there's a bit of a pause. However, they're still building. I would say that, again, going back to our data poll that we did through Abacus for this region, it's important for the builders to develop the right types of housing for what the residents of Grimsby want. And what they did note in the data poll was small detached houses, even larger semi-detached or executive townhouses, and senior-oriented housing was extremely important. So building the right type of house is definitely going to attract the people of this area and, make them happy. Yeah.
I think, every time, I've made a joke earlier about going into Facebook comments, but every time there is a post about real estate development, there's always somebody commenting, what about more homes for seniors? And it's like, yeah, of course, we do need those. Part of Grimsby's challenge, of course, is that we're landlocked. We have the lake on one side, the escarpment on the other, the green belt, which we can't develop, and very, very little developable land left. So like you mentioned, fully detached homes. Not a lot of space in Grimsby left to build fully detached homes, unless we're tearing down bigger ones and building multiple smaller ones, which there are a couple developments that are doing. Yeah. It does feel like Grimsby does face certain unique challenges in terms of housing compared to maybe other communities in Niagara that have more open land. Do you see that a lot when you're out there?
I do. And I think that it's important, especially as we're heading into the municipal election, which is I know what this podcast is about, as well as housing. It's important, I guess, for them to focus on, like, how do you balance keeping the charm of Grimsby, and then also realizing that, yes, you said, I think it was 50,000 people were expected to come, or the population was expected to grow to 50,000. That's quite a large number from where we're at now. So, and condos are not exactly the most popular.
No, people got strong opinions about condos.
They do. They have very strong opinion, and they're valid. Like, again, you have beautiful views of the waterfront along the Grimsby on the lake, and then you've got the Bruce Trails. You want to keep that charm, right? So it's finding that balance. We've got to find a solution and work together between the people who live here, the realtors, the developers, the elected officials, all of us. I'm very faithful that, like, in all of us, we can work together to come together with a solution.
It does require a certain degree of compromise, and I think that compromise starts with recognizing that not doing anything is not one of the choices.
Exactly.
It's like that 50,000 number came from the province, that they said that's what they expect, and so that's the number that if you do nothing, these are how many people are going to.
They're coming anyway.
They're coming anyway. You got to put them somewhere.
Exactly.
It is, the role of government to say that's happening regardless you figure it out. But that's that's why we have the private sector and all of the wonderful people in the space doing the things that you do. When talking about the compromise between charm and intensification, something that you will hear from basically every candidate at every layer of government is the phrase responsible development, which is a accurate but also sort of convenient phrase. In your opinion, what does responsible development actually mean?
That's a very good question. In my opinion, I'm making up the meaning here.
Sure.
Okay, but from what I would think that means is you need to take into consideration the areas in which you're trying to develop in. Okay, so I don't think it's a one size fits all, like you can just blanket and say this many housing starts for all of these regions and go, right? It needs to be customized for what is attainable for those reasons. Responsible would mean, okay, how is the infrastructure, right? Again, when we were polling for data through Abacus for the Grimsby area, infrastructure and growth was one of the top concerns besides just housing and affordability in general. How are we maintaining the wastewater systems, the roads, how is traffic going to be? I know you guys have the new GO station that just started breaking ground. That's excited. Exciting. Yeah. So hopefully that starts alleviating some traffic. Doubt it, because I feel like I
think it's going to do the opposite of that.
Yeah, I feel like
there's pros and cons to that. But that's an interesting comment, because responsible development, we talk a lot about height limits and things like that. The new official plan that was just passed by Grimsby Council allows buildings near the GO station of up to 28 stories, which is far higher than anything else that currently exists, but something that you can imagine by 2050 will make sense over there. Yeah. So I think that's a point well taken about there's not one size fits all. Nobody's advocating for 28 stories over here in downtown.
No.
But yeah, if you spend a few million on a train station, people are probably going to want to live near that train station to be able to use it.
Yeah, and then that's a popular conversation too amongst all other municipalities, as well as the intensification along those transit corridors. It makes the most sense. It's the easiest way to build that up. And again, that's the whole point where people want to live near transit. It's to help to reduce, maybe driving through cars, reduce that traffic flow, and then they can just hop on and hop off. So it makes a lot of sense to intensify those areas.
There's a lot of things I disagree with developers about, but one of the things that I do wholeheartedly agree with is if you want to reduce traffic congestion and you want to build walkable communities, you have to have housing where people can walk to stuff. And that usually means intensifying the areas that already people want to walk to. So building condos closer to downtown, and it's very rare that you're going to get a greenfield development that's going to build a bunch of condo buildings and a bunch of commercial properties. So here's all the shops and restaurants and housing in one brand new place that we put over there. That's not how this works.
No.
People have tried that in the past. Historically, it doesn't go well because
it's better to build around what's already built. Again, it's preserving that infrastructure, just making sure that you can expand out. Grimsby has a charming downtown. It would be really great to have all the shops and restaurants and accessible, especially walkability wise. I'm sure finding parking is not a joy.
Thankfully, this episode is about housing, so we're not going to talk about parking.
We're going to avoid that. I mean, you need space for parking.
You do. If you live here, you got to have a car.
That's a loaded question for Grimsby. I know. That's a loaded topic.
That's a whole other episode. What do you think is maybe a popular myth or misconception that people have about housing?
I would say that one, they feel like it could drastically change their city and their town or how they live. It can and it can't, depending, again, on who you have advocating for you and how much, as locals, you guys communicate, right?
Sure.
It's really important for you guys to come out and
communicate constructively.
Yes. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. So Cornerstone is the first real estate association or board in Canada to actually sign on to the Elect Respect pledge.
Okay.
Yep. So that's we are.
The chamber has also signed that.
Oh, amazing!
Yeah.
So good. We're aligned.
So for people who
way.
aren't familiar, the Elect Respect pledge is
it's basically an organization that was or an initiative rather that was put together by elected officials, basically promoting and encouraging respectful behavior when you are, dealing with elected officials, or just being acting with integrity, acting with respect.
It calls on everyone running for office to not be a jerk.
Pretty much
is the root of
it,
and it's not it's not binding. We can't force anybody to not be a jerk, but we're saying if you are going to engage with us, on elections or on the material that we're going to produce as part of the election, then we expect a certain level of decorum and basic human decency.
Well, exactly.
And it's unfortunate that we have to ask for that, but
yes.
I think we live in a very contentious time, and people have strong opinions, and maybe some of them are better at voicing that in a constructive way than others. But
yeah, well, people are under a lot of pressure right now. Housing is, again, it's very unaffordable for a lot of people, or it feels that way. The economy is, for a lot of people, not the greatest. So looking at their budget and trying to balance that, it's challenging. But at the same time, you have to be hard on the issues and kind of softer on the people.
Yeah.
Because the people who are in our positions or who are going into office or are currently in office, they are just the people, right? They're there to deal with the issues. So you have to be hard on the issues, and again, just treat them with respect. Let your voice be heard. Yelling's not going to make the issue, go away any faster.
It is cathartic, though.
It could be a little therapeutic.
Let's talk about affordability, because obviously that, I think, is next to intensity and development. That's probably the other major thing that people are thinking about in terms of housing. It's fair to say that for a lot of people, particularly younger people, housing is not affordable. Even as you alluded to, post-COVID, when a lot of people bought into houses that have since come down and may find their mortgages underwater, where their mortgage is now worth more than the value of their home. So how do we advocate on behalf of housing affordability on a municipal level? And what are the kinds of things that that Cornerstone works on, or that we should be asking of our next council and mayor to improve housing affordability, which can often feel like a much bigger issue because it's provincial as federal to some degree as well?
Well, we've had these discussions, Cornerstone, with many municipalities, including Grimsby, and it's challenging across the board, not just for Grimsby. It comes down to okay, so how are we going to make this more affordable for especially the young homeowners coming in? Where's the money coming from? That's the biggest question. And again, we don't want to touch property taxes. You're very restricted in where we can find funds. So we're looking into programs suggesting maybe a down payment assistance program. I know Niagara Region has something of the sort down that way. So something to help them kind of just get their foot in the door, because the biggest challenge for young people getting in is the down payment. They're usually making good money, they have good jobs. The interest rates, thankfully, have been held for I think the past few announcements, right? It hasn't gone anywhere, so it's helping a little bit. The development fees, developers are doing their part in lowering their fees. The government has put in place the HST rebates, so it's making somewhat of an impact to help the affordability for sure. But I guess the down payment assistance program would be something interesting to look at. Again, it's always coming back to where we're going to find the money.
Yeah, you got to shuffle it from somewhere. I know for most of the people I know that are younger that are struggling with housing, it is the down payment, because if you're paying $3,000 a month in rent, that doesn't leave you enough money to save up for that $60,000, $80,000, $100,000 down payment. It's you can't budget your way out of that.
It's hard. Yeah, it's definitely hard.
Yeah. Let's pivot back to business. This is, after all, a Chamber of Commerce podcast. Why should businesses care about residential housing?
Well, I would think that that's where your clients come from.
That's a fair point. Yeah.
If you have more people who live around your businesses, they can come shop at your businesses,
Sure.
right? That would just be the first initial thought. But again, the more development that you have, especially if you have client-facing businesses, right? Like we're not talking industrial or commercial of that sort. We're talking about client-facing, like you have a service-oriented business, you have a restaurant, you have something cool called like the Dutch Shop, you know? I heard that's a really cute place to go.
It's all right.
It's just important to have that would be infrastructure around you guys, right? That's support. That's your client base. Why would you not want people around you who want to buy from you?
Of course. No, that makes sense. And I guess, so in that sense, it feels like a very obvious question.
Yeah.
But I think there's still, like, even within Main Street, for example, there's that push and pull, as you mentioned, between the charming, aesthetic that it currently has and the development that's expected to come. And I think businesses do find themselves on kind of either side of that fence of, on the one hand, we want to preserve the aesthetic that we have. On the other hand, more people means more customers. So it's like, either way we win to a certain extent, but it can be tricky to find that balance of what even businesses consider to be a responsible development.
So when I go and I delegate on behalf of Cornerstone in front of municipalities, what I find to be very impactful is when there's local residents there who speak on what their concerns are. Right? Because again, council's there to listen, same way Cornerstone's here to listen to our members, right? You come to us, let us know what your concerns are. And I've seen municipalities direct staff and studies and things to make sure that they can encompass those issues into their solutions. So I would say for business owners that are concerned, make some time. I know you guys are busy, okay? I know. It's like asking the city for money. I'm asking you guys for time. But it's like, find somebody or maybe who can go on your behalf to speak on those issues, because they will loop it into the solutions, right?
So if you could advocate on behalf of a specific policy for the next term in Grimsby, what changes would you like to see?
Oh, that's a broad question.
It is.
I mean, every time I'm in Grimsby, which is quite frequently, I think it's like about 4 to 5 times a week, I'm a frequent passerby of Grimsby and stopper.
You haven't been in my store.
Not yet. You know why? It's because I'm either going to this house, I'm going there, so it's like I never have a minute to enjoy anything.
Comes back to the parking thing we're not talking about.
Oh God, no. Then I'm like, I don't have time to find parking. No, I'm kidding. You guys are doing a really great job. Like, it's hard for me to say one specific thing for you guys. Just keep advocating for the charm of Grimsby. Keep advocating. Like, again, compromise. You're going to need to compromise. It's going to be uncomfortable no matter what. But it will be more uncomfortable if you don't try to come to terms on a compromise and bring your solutions forward and be like, look, we would like to see these things stay and see how we can, bring in those people of 50,000. Like, we're expecting the 50,000 to come in. You have to figure that out. I would just like to see, again, infrastructure being really taken care of. Just keep the charm of Grimsby. Smart developments. Okay, I think that would be what I would land on, is smart developments in the sense that build what people want to live in. I know the detached might be a little bit challenging, but there's and developers know this. I don't need to tell them what to do. Developers know like what people want to live in, and it's ground-oriented housing, right? Or the lower rise, mid-rise condos, which I think Grimsby can pallet that. The high rise is a bit far out.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
For a long time, we had no more than 4 was the catchphrase, which is how we ended up with 4 stories at the Century condos. That's now being completed.
Yeah.
Council has approved a development for Elm Street that's going to go up to 7. The new official plan says 4 to 6 for the downtown core. So we do seem like we're kind of settled on that. But then, of course, we're going to have much taller buildings out towards the GO train and on Grimsby on the Lake area. So it does still feel like the different flavors of housing will still be available in Grimsby even as we build out. There just probably won't be as many new greenfield subdivisions because we just don't have the space for them.
Which is fair. But it's a good mix of housing, and it's important to, again, consider the younger families that are coming in. Grimsby is a really attractive town. It's so cute. You guys have a lot that, people maybe who don't want to go all the way out to Niagara. You've got cute vineyards. You have a waterfront. You've got, I guess, a boardwalk. I know it's not wood. It's like a concrete stone path. But
Yeah, there's like a coastal
yeah,
trail, I would
it's
call
like
it.
really, it's cute what you guys are doing here. And you got the cute little, what's that street called with all the pretty colorful cottages?
I actually don't know. I know the cottages. I don't know the name
Yeah,
of the
like
street.
you guys have a lot of attractions out this way. You've got great restaurants, great coffee shops, great little, other boutiques. So you guys are going to have a lot of attraction down this way. So yeah, I would just say keep the charm.
So let me then actually flip that question. How, the best way to push responsible development is through advocacy and through dialogue and understanding, like the compromise, as you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
How do you start to build those inroads with the people that are firm, like, I don't want it, don't build anything? And what's the sales pitch for those people that already own a home here, that only see intensity as more traffic, more problems? What's sort of the dialogue to have with those people?
I think it's being really clear because you're going to have people who are just absolutely not, never, no way at any point in time. It's a bit unfair to other people who are trying to make space for themselves, right? It's like you got to have that ability to compromise, but sometimes people just won't. The best way to combat that, unfortunately, is to bring more voices out that are in support of the compromise than the ones that aren't, and to try and maybe help the ones that aren't see the benefits of it, not just for themselves, but for their community as a whole and other residents that are coming in, is just be clear on the communication. Like, this is how we're going to solve and address this problem of infrastructure. This is how we're going to address this problem of wastewater management. This is how we're going to address the problem of keeping the aesthetic as, close as possible to what it is right now for Grimsby. You're still going to have people that are like, that's not good enough.
Some people are just not going to like it no matter what.
They're not going to like it no matter what. But exactly.
That's okay. And that's true.
You can't make everybody happy. Unfortunately, you just got to do the best thing for the city of Grimsby, for the residents as a whole, and for the future. Like, you got to be future thinking, right? And seeing, well, what is expected to happen. Again, I'm going to go back to, you guys are being told it's going to go up to 50,000 people in population, whether we like it or not. So we might as well do something to ease that transition versus, again, sit there and do nothing, and then it happens anyways. And now things weren't planned for infrastructure, things weren't done for building housing, right? And it's more chaos, right?
Just on that last point, what would you consider some of those benefits to the residents of having, like, we're going to have this extra 20,000 people and we're going to have this increased development? If I already live here, what would be some of the benefits of this increased density? I don't give you easy ones.
I mean, the benefits would be maybe close to home. Maybe you have family who is wanting to come into the area and they need to find more affordable housing, and that's how they get closer to you. And you guys can, have your family unit together. That could also be a con for some people.
We'll throw that one in the baby pile.
Right? It's hard because when I'm thinking of how I am when I live in my areas and they are intensifying, I don't necessarily think of the impact it's having on me. Obviously, I notice the traffic.
Sure.
Right? But again, when you see the city making more roads or making more transit or things to alleviate that, it's kind of like, okay, what this is, for me, my mindset is, this is just growth. There's growing pains, right? You have to just adapt to change, because change is really the only constant that we have in our life, right? So it's a pro and a con, but it's very subjective, right? It's hard for me to speak on behalf of any resident, including myself, because it really depends on what growth is being built and where and how. It's very subjective, if that makes sense.
I mean, if I take a utopian, arguably naive approach to it, I would think, the benefits would be more people means more property taxes paid by more people, so the town has more money to theoretically invest in improving that infrastructure, in building public amenities, in funding public services. There's sort of a blue sky version of that, where ideally density would mean that my individual, it's never going to mean that my property taxes go down. That's just not how it ever works.
Yeah.
But there is a theory that, more people paying into the pot means that it won't have to go up as much, or that the percentage that I'm paying of the total pot is now lower, so it's less burdensome to add new stuff.
No, that's a great point. Yeah.
Again, that there is a little bit of idealism to that, because I
Yeah.
do know historically that that's not how it always pans out. It can often feel like it's more people, more problems, and
Yeah.
now we just have to spend more to maintain the infrastructure we already had. But
Right.
Grimsby, for our part, we are making infrastructure investments. We've got a major sewer line replacement project that's happening over the next 2 years that's already started. So there is an argument to some mutual benefit by the addition of more people, particularly if they're not building like right next door to me, but somewhere on the other side of town, and that doesn't bother me as
long
much.
as it's not right next door.
It can be right next door. It depends,
just
as
kidding.
to what you said, it depends what they're building.
Exactly.
Final takeaways. What would you like people to walk away from this knowing about Cornerstone, Realtors, the work that you guys are doing, housing in general, just sort of last thoughts?
Well, Cornerstone is here to boldly advocate on behalf of our members as well as, the clients that they serve. So we have a lot of local realtors who serve in the Grimsby area. Have those conversations with them because it'll trickle back up to us. And if there's anything that we could do within our associations to even work with our realtors to make things easier for them to do their job or advocate on behalf of you to municipal, provincial, and federal levels, we're more than on board to do that. Housing is, I know it feels really tough right now, but historically speaking, it is a great investment. It is something that you can pass down. It's like a legacy investment. Usually that's why people get it.
It's usually
right?
like the cornerstone of generational wealth.
I
for
like
people.
that. That's a good slide. Yeah, it's a cornerstone of wealth building for sure. So, it might seem scary. Just do what you can to see how you can get there. We're doing our part to help lower affordability issues and make them more accessible and available. So we could just work together and see if we can bring it all.
I love it.
Yeah.
Website, social media handles, where can people find you?
You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. You can go to our website, cornerstone.inc.
Fantastic. And I would be remiss if I didn't once again thank you. Cornerstone is our series sponsor. So thanks to you and the team for sponsoring all of the elections content that we've been doing. Sandra, I really appreciate you coming in today.
I really appreciate you having us. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks as well to Bright Workspace for being our studio sponsor. If you would like to rent this beautiful studio space or any of the other wonderful amenities that Bright has to offer, you can check them out at brightworkspace.com. Technical production for the show is done by myself on behalf of the Grimsby Chamber of Commerce. Please feel free to follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out, grimsbychamber.com, or follow us on Facebook and Instagram. That's our show. Let's stay connected, Grimsby.